Islandeering shares the identical psychological as ascent to the summit conference of a mount, on to Lisa Drew, the female who developed the period. She says, human beings never very begin out in the aim of fair departure part way up a mount. And for Lisa, the identical completist encourage applies to islands as so. Islandeering is manufacturing offering circular travel about the external end of an isle by any tool probable, walk, scramble or rowing, Lisa says. So far she has been islandeering on 130 of Britain's islands. She telephone call them license, by looking for islands she can get to and get about in a date. She has unsecured several wonderful places not lot human beings aware on. The means of communication she conducted include a begin and complete, but to between Lisa is frequently next pet tracks and hard to escape cliffs, the inbound tidal or marshy areas. She says the encourage is to see the isle of all sides, fair since it is down there. I fair sense how completion the round and knowledge the isle as a entire is essential to me, quite rather than day tripping and departure to see thing particular, she says. It fair seems to be thing more than of a full travel, quite love received to the top of a mount and upcoming behind downward once again. How's a big checkmark for myself, she says. I frequently encounter the post ladies, or postmen, occasionally they are the just human beings I view, though on an unpopulated isle. Down there is as well the affair and the opening, she says. Chancing through rubble, how I didn't wait to be down there, thing how hasn't been spelled on up, thing how I can give behind and stake in other. To a lot of the islands down there is no data at all on the isle, let one if you can get about the external end. She says human beings include been calling her to stake the data on her trips, so she has put 50 of them in a new volume, Islandeering, Adventures about the End of Britain's Islands. Lisa has a household on Skye, one of Scotland's largest renowned islands, that is famous in tourists of about the planet. Millions trip Skye every year, but really few include been out to the Isle of Oronsay, a periodic isle in Lake Bracadale that is related to the western shore of Skye by a levee. Lisa says it is probable to crucifix largest of the period, but thoroughness is necessary as it is coded for a few several hours each party of top tidal. One day on the isle, the complementary range path on herbaceous precipice edges provides lot of prospect to investigate the spectacular sea caves and gullies, Lisa says. And a brief, abrupt climb up gives view love no sum. Lisa says, you can see the dark Quillan, you can see all the way to the Polar to the Old Man of Store, you can see the external Hebrides, and I can't believe of else point of view love how. Else little isle concealment off the shore of a famous isle is Sacred Isle, off Arran. Lisa says, it is an completely unbelievable location. It is really very available, and it was a full surprise party to me since it is a Buddhism society residing amongst white stupas and pray flags and on to the 5 gold rules of Buddhist. It is off the shore of Arran, you can see behind and see the rising mountains of Arran. I don't believe you'd get how prospect of everywhere else. How's a really bizarre isle, and it's a really peace, calm location to go, and it's not how far off. Devar is else isle available by a 30-min go through a periodic grit and cobble levee. It put fair off Campbelltown on the Kintyre Peninsula, in view to Arran in the polar east and the Ayrshire shore to the southward. The isle has a constantly held beacon and a few feast-lets, but is differently rarely inhabited. One of its more than extraordinary attractions is a sea cavern in a art of the crucifix within. The art was found in 1887 by a regional fisher, and rabid assumption ensued on how it had got down there. The secret painter, regional art tutor Archibald McKinnon, stored his open secret for 47-year up demonstration he was over it. Eileen Shona, that nestles in the entry to Lake Moydad on the western shore of Scotland, is a magic location, on to Lisa Drew. Peter Pan author J.M. Barrie utilized the isle as a summer feast refuge for by himself and his encouraged sons in the 1920s, and it is mined it was there how he wrote a scenario for the 1924 movie adapt of his renowned job. You can nearly sense several of those mythic letter driving about in the woods, Lisa says. The isle is now belonging by Vanessa Branson, sibling of multimillionaire businessman Richard Branson. Lisa says how, one day on the Isle, you once feeling how Isle is creature well groomed too. The unspoiled Isle has a constant people of two, but down there are several recovered cabin for visitors. In the Orkney archipelago, the Isle of Hoy is famous in tourists, but few do it to southward walls, that is united to it by a levee constructed on top of sandbanks. The Isle's little people is concentration at Longhope, in a dispersion of houses in the cheap-lying polar. The southward of the Isle is savage and remotely, Lisa says, in several unbelievable geologic features. She says the enormous, compressed sea caves, named gloops, are impressive. While you see downward them you get dizziness, and at the lower you can listen the sea suckling and bubbling under, she says. Lisa says, for top seas they be splendid blowholes, and vision hairspray blasting out of their beautiful is rather a surrealistic expertise while walk to them on the precipice.